Hey everybody, it's Sarah, and it's Spirit Saturday. Actually, it's Sunday, but I really like the topic, so I wanted to do it, or do a video for it. And it's about exploring the role and the context and the nature of your eating disorder after young adulthood and adolescence. And what was really interesting, actually, I was reading a study along the lines of that eating disorders are most prevalent among young adults and teenagers. But there's also sort of, like, okay, you know how the baby boom, and then there's a baby boom echo. Like, you have the baby boom, and then you have the baby boom with babies, so there's kind of that jump again. Well, they're finding the same thing, in that there's a large number of individuals who have eating disorders when they're, in their adolescence and young adulthood, but that they're finding, too, that there's a significant number of people who have eating disorders when they're 45, 50, and 60. This, to me, experientially, I found to be the case. We have a lot of 20-somethings that are, developed eating disorders in their teenagehood and their young adulthood, and they're trying to get their life back together so that they can continue and live the rest of their life. But I've also found that, like my first roommate, an inpatient, was, like, her youngest daughter was my age at that time, so 17. And so she was, like, 40 years older than me, and, 30 years older than me. And, I find, too, that makes sense on a psychological level. My psychology background is really, really limited, but in terms of the life process, which I know a little bit more about because we have to know that for nursing, but in terms of the life process and how your life unfolds, it's almost as if in your 20s and your 30s there's no room for an eating disorder. You begin to develop a sense of self, you begin to develop a sense of passion and content, there's no room for an eating disorder. And I found that's been my experience too, is that in the last 3 or 4 years, like I'm only 25, I'm not, I wouldn't say I know a whole lot about adulthood, but that's been my experience, is that over the past 2 or 3 years, even, like, I haven't received eating disorder treatment since I was 18, and, but still, my eating disorder, it's gotten worse and better, like most people's, but on the whole, it's gotten better. And, it's almost as if it drops down the priority list of things that I have in my life. And I couldn't be happier. But it's almost as if there's no room for an eating disorder when you're in your 20s and your 30s, because you have your career, you have, children, you have, partners, you have things you want to do, you want to travel, and that kind of thing. There's just so much else that is so much more appealing than an eating disorder, that if you can get to that point in recovery where you're just sort of ambivalent about the whole thing, then it can kind of almost jump ship from having an eating disorder to being recovered. Because there's so many different ships that you can jump to. There's the, I want a career ship. There's the, I want to finish my school ship. There's the, I want to travel ship. And the opportunity to get better in your 20s and 30s just seems to increase for me. And I really hope that's a message of hope, because you could really capitalize on the potential that life process has. There's the conditions when you're an adolescent and when you're a young adult and you don't know what you want to do, you're leaving, the friends you've known for 20 or for 15 years, you have no idea what's important to you, you don't have passions yet, those are like the completely ripe, 100% wonderful conditions for an eating disorder to establish itself. And as things begin to take the place of that energy and that energy begins to be invested in something else far more constructive, the eating disorder gets crowded out. So yeah, that's been my experience. I don't know if that's everybody's experience. To me, that would make a lot of sense. I've never seen someone who has who has a career, who has a partner, and who has kids. I've never seen them develop an eating disorder out of the blue. Maybe they'll relapse or they'll struggle, but I've never seen them develop an eating disorder if they've never had eating issues before. And I think that's really true because you're too busy for one, and there's too much else that's important. And I just think that's a really wonderful opportunity for all of us. So yeah, I hope that was kind of interesting. I'm not sure. I may be way off base on the whole thing, but it makes a lot of sense to me. And yeah, I would really encourage you to, have a lot of hope for your 20s, have a lot of hope for your 30s, because there's a lot of potential there, and just be patient. It's hard because your eating disorder takes up so much of your brain space and so much of your effort and so much of your energy that there's almost a void there if you let go of your eating disorder completely. It's like, okay, what do I do now? And I guess just one of the things I've always said is always, always, always keep as involved as you can in life, because that is your eating disorder's worst enemy. What it would love more than anything is for you to hold yourself up in, a room all by yourself for the next year while you starve to death. But if you continue to, go to church, if you continue to be around family and friends, if you continue to work towards your degree, if you continue to do something outside of your eating disorder, then that opportunity, whenever that sort of eating disorder loses a little bit of ground, then the rest of your life can fill in that spot. So there's no void for it to take back and basically dominate your life again. And I think that's just, it's hard to be open to that, but really, really try, because, I don't know, I've known a lot of people who recovered very, very well in their 20s that were not very successful in their teenagers. Just because the conditions for feeling good about yourself and for being good to yourself are much more favorable than they ever are in adolescence or teenagehood. People mature and they don't, you don't have to worry about someone calling you fat if you walk into the classroom, for example. Like, nobody does that anymore. And in that sense, it can be a lot easier, and a lot of the anxiety is reduced. And like I said, just wait for it to drop down the priority list. Like, do I like my body? No, far from it. Don't like it at all. I respect it. I have a very deep respect for it, which is a new thing. But I also don't wake up every morning going, I hate my body. I really, really disgustingly despise my body. I don't think about it till I see it in the mirror, and that for me is progress. And remember, that's what recovery is progress, not perfection. So I hope to see you next week, and take care.